Thank you, Ferananda, for joining us in our series of Holo team member interviews, where we get to know more about the individuals working on Holo and Holochain. So again, my name is Micah Jefferson. I do the growth and community coordination right now, so that just spans a few different areas. But I've worked with you, Ferananda, for many, many years now, and it's been a wonderful experience. So we're just looking to get to know you a little bit more and what you've been working on. Before Holo and Holochain sort of existed, what you've been doing with the orgs then, and then sort of where you're at now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Sure. So I'm Ferananda Ibarra, and I am born originally in Mexico, where I lived most of my life. And to be able to answer to that question of before Holo what, I would have to come back to essence, to the essence of my work. And that essence is about collective intelligence. Like that is my point of departure since many, many years ago. And, you know, after you connect with your essence, you connect with form and function, and then form and function become more coherent because there is a guiding light. And collective intelligence work for me is that guiding light, as it provides many of the answers to what I consider being the most prevalent challenges of our times. You know, this is our unraveling times. So many things are happening. And through collective intelligence, we get to learn about, because for me, it's a discipline that involves biomimicry and sociology and psychology, and of course, computer science and economics. So through that work, one of the center points of that work is called invisible architectures, which is like the DNA for social organisms being institutions, organizations, corporations of any kind. And the invisible architectures actually shape the outcomes of those organizations. And many of the invisible architectures I've been focusing on are like money, social codes, measurement infrastructure, language, so if you part from there, then you start to see and start to weave why the form and why the function of meta currency and Holo and Holochain matter, right? So I come long ways with Eric and Arthur and Jean-Francois Nouvelle, and we been working together. I don't remember like really for how long. It was just something that you meet the soulmates in the path, and then you journey with them, right? Wherever it's gonna take you. And it took us into metacurrency first, and developing a sort of philosophy and principles based upon another part of the essence of the work, which is living systems. So if you take like I have had the privilege of working with one of the most wisest consultants ever, which is nature, which has billions and billions of years of experience, and just seeing how nature works. And that has been the essence of the work of currency and the essence of the work of Holochain, because as you know, it's not that we just say Holochain is a biomimicry type of platform or framework, but it's actually built upon the inspiration of living systems. So that's, you know, how I serve, fulfilling into what I call being collective intelligence in living systems as the primordial essence of the work that I've been doing for, you know, more than 2 decades. You know, metacurrency, many people think that metacurrency is just a philosophy or a set of principles, when actually many things were born out of it, like Agile Learning Centers, Emerging Leader Labs, Village Lab, which was a whole systems designed for communities of intent. And so there was the embodiment of the metacurrency principles through the practice in these organizations. And, you know, since I focused in Village Lab for a while, because I really believe that communities of intent have something very unique to contribute to the world, as they are people living gig economy. They've been doing this for ages. I mean, there's communities where they even share the money that they all make. I mean, talk about governance systems, talk about conflict resolution. I mean, they've been innovating in so many realms of existence, and many realms of systems, and many realms of how do we live as a sustainable on Earth. And through the work of Village Lab, we developed what is called the wealth stewardship model, and it's a model that Jeff Clearwater began on how do we work with money so that every one of our endeavors is not, where there's no extraction, but there's actually a win-win reciprocity with the projects that we create. So MetaCurrency had been wanting to build a system. In that time, it was called Streamscapes, and of course, Scepter arose from that and wanting to build Scepter, but it was so large that it was almost impossible to describe. Or when we would, people would go like, okay, off my head, or, it's like beyond me. In Village Lab, we knew that to be able to create the connective tissue and collective intelligence that we want to see in the communities of intent and movement, think eco-villages, think, hubs, impact hubs all over the world, we needed a certain software that was not existent. Because to start with, we couldn't use a TCP and we couldn't use enclosable carriers to be able to bring it to life, because that would be building the same old. It's like putting some new wine into old cups, and that didn't make any sense to us. So we in Village Lab decided to wait for Scepter to happen, and not only to wait, but to empower Scepter to happen. So through the wealth stewardship model, we started looking for investment in collaboration with MetaCurrency, and we got the first investment for Holo through that purity of that intent. So our first investor came in with a volition, with a consciousness of evolution, and not wanting to own, control, have equity, or shape the future of Scepter and what it would become. And then from Scepter, you were connected to that part of the story. When you arrived, we didn't even have the name Holo, right? You were there. I remember. They didn't tell us, Micah. We were there when Holo was coined. Coming from the collective intelligence work, again, that we have been doing for many, many years, like Jean-Francois Noubel coined the term holopticism, which means when the part was visibility of the whole, which is a major component of collective intelligence, because if every part cannot see the whole, then we cannot organize ourselves in an intelligent manner. So if you think about the implications that has in design, is enormous. So from holopticism and holism came Holo. And then the Holoverse, which is really the Scepterverse, has been just like sprouting. And we're seeing so much live right now that is just impossible to track.
That embodied nature of the work and of the software is always drawn me to it. And yeah, just meeting you, Jean-Francois, Art, and Eric have just expanded my understanding of what's possible, definitely. Could you speak a little bit about what you're working on now?
One of my main points of focus right now, of course, is economics. And through that is the work on food, energy, water, land. And then if you weave then the piece of the technological capacity that we now have through Holo and Holochain, plus the capacity to build asset-backed cryptocurrencies, you start getting a little bit of the picture, right? So one piece that I want to mention as one of your questions, which is your superpower. I feel that one of my superpowers is harmony. I like to bring things into harmony. And I mention that now because a lot of where my focus has been in the interiority of systems. So on one side is the external part of systems, which is the infrastructures, like measurement infrastructures, for example, of the technological development of technology and applications, decentralized applications. But if you take the other aspect of the interiority of systems, then we get culture. And so for me, it's essential that in these times we marry both, because we need both to be able to succeed. You see way too many companies that just focus on the exterior and then focus on the interior. So I'm trying to marry those through my work on Holo, where I contribute to culture and Holochain, and the work with the Commons Engine, where I'm a director of the Commons Engine. And this, Commons Engine has been in in the dream of Arthur and Eric and I for a long time. And Jean has been my dream co-steward, co-director for a while. We know each other, but we were kind of meeting each other through the Commons Engine and the work on incubation of different applications for water, energy, food. And then, so now you have Holochain and Holo, and then as an underground layer, and now you have the Commons Engine with a certain purpose and an aim to have impact in these large systems and culture and governance. And then how does that manifest? How is that taking form? Is a lot of our focus is going into regenerative agriculture. And the reason for that, if it's not obvious for people, is that everybody eats. And we're seeing that we cannot have collective intelligence if people are not healthy. And most of us, even if we eat organic, are starting to not have health in our biome, in our inner microbiome. And that's because of the depletion of the nutrients of the soil. So there is a correlation in between the health of the microbiome of Earth and the soil with the health of our inner microbiome, which then, you probably heard the connection in between the gut and the brain. So there's the health of individuals, right, which is obvious and can be seen and definitely measured. And then you can see the health of the microbiome of Earth and natural capital, if you will. And then you can see how that needs, of course, a specific work on culture and consciousness to be able to succeed. But if we really tackle regenerative food systems and regenerative agriculture, we would solve climate. Because of carbon sequestration, the soil can sequester carbon that lies there for thousands of years, literally thousands of years. And I was in a regenerative agriculture and food security conference recently, and they were saying we have like 60 crops left. So 60 crops. That's not enough for my children, the children of my children. So I was like, we really need to have impact on that. So many of the people that follow Holo and Holochain know that we're working with Producers Market, and Producers Market also has a deep relationship with Commons Engine. And so does other companies like Direct Harvest and Textile Labs and other companies doing agroforestry and Just One Organics. So we are, integrating different types of services that will allow to scale and help these platforms be built. There's a lot of supply chain going on there, REA accounting, which is considered by many of us like the future or evolutionary capacity for accounting systems. So there's a lot of work on applications, tons of works on applications. I've been focusing a lot on, as I said, the interiority of the system. So one of my major works is the Chief Harmony Officer for Unified Field Corporation. Just One Organics is the brand. And what I'm doing is like the whole architecture of the organizational design for that. That's why I started to develop Touchpoints, which is an application for self-organizing systems for self-management, so that we can have harmony inside, happy individuals, happy associates that can only be happy if there is work on the economics of the organization, in the governance, in the ways of sharing power, creating abundance, building true collaboration. So that's kind of the match. So it's a lot of the work that is going on, but it's very stacking functions as the way as I see it.